automotive industry has been quite buzzing of late, be it on emission norms or safety norms. We have here with us Mr. Arvind Balaji, who represents the apex body of the back end of the automobile industry. Welcome to ETAuto, sir. We have seen a lot of happening around automotive industry, like emission norms, safety norms, a lot of change going to happen from the government policy, and how the back end is gearing up to take on the challenge.
I think the theme for this year is quality and technology. That should tell you something about how we are focusing on getting ourselves ready to meet the requirements, whether it is emissions, whether it is changes to electrification, or it is safety.
So what kind of estimated invest you expect from the component manufacturers to meet the emission and other regulatory requirement over the 5?
I don't think it's too early. I think everybody's working backwards on how we can meet the requirements. I think you'll see that happen in the months to come.
So what are the challenges you think? Where are the challenges that the automobile industry may have while trying to achieve this change? That's paradigm shift that.
Which change?
In terms of regulatory things.
I think as far as safety standards are concerned, I think that's already there elsewhere in the world. And really the question there is how do we make those safety products more affordable? So localization here and using Indian innovation to reduce the cost so it can be used across the board is going to be the way to go. As far as emissions is concerned, again, we have to work backwards and see what requires to be done. The government has set the clear target. Now we have to work along with our OEM partners to see what we can do.
So in terms of investment, will it come mostly from the tier 1 or tier 2? Because tier 2, 3 has been seen as weakest link in the entire value chain. What ACMA is doing to bring them up to match the requirement?
I think for the automotive industry to grow, the entire chain has to grow. And for the automotive industry to become strong, the entire chain has to be strong. So we're focusing a lot on improving the quality levels across the chain. We have a program in ACMA called ACT, and we run a cluster program. And in fact, now we are enlisting many of the smaller companies into that program, and we are encouraging many of the tier 1 vendors to register their vendors into this program to help upgrade the quality levels.
In BS6 specifically, have you people done some kind of estimation? What kind of
again, it won't be appropriate for you to ask me. I think this is more company specific that you should be discussing about.
So, passenger vehicle and two-wheeler industry, which has been backbone for the entire segment, for component makers as well, it is not doing so well. So, how do you look at the industry in the coming years? Do you think it will revive, and how the changes?
I think we must look at it in context. We've discussed with the government and created an automotive mission plan that projects a tremendous growth over the next 10 years in all sectors. I don't think there's any doubt within the industry that India as a country will be a major automotive market, probably one of the fastest growing markets in the near future. Unfortunately, we have gone through a slowdown in the last 3 years, but there has been recovery. The car segment is moving. It may not be growing as fast as we would like, but it's still growing. The commercial vehicle market has recovered quite nicely in the last few months especially. Some of the rural market issues have depressed the demand for some two-wheelers as well as tractors. But we see the direction as very positive, and we're hoping in the coming months we'll see a faster recovery.
So what is the current level of capacity utilization on average for the auto parts manufacturers in India?
I would say, because if you go back in time, most people would have probably invested in 2012 for extra growth also. So I would probably say 60-65% is probably where it will probably be right now. That's an estimate.
How do you look at going forward? Do you see it improving?
Yes, we do. And that's why as the market is growing, as Indian companies looking more at exporting, I'm sure you'll find now the capacity utilization get better, profitability get better, and so on.
What are the expectations from the upcoming general budget to give a boost to the automotive industry? One is FTA, and there are lots of issues that have been asking for. What are the key points that you are going to ask for?
So we've asked for GST and what every other industry has been asking for. In addition, we've asked for a technology upgradation fund. That's one of the things we have requested the government to help smaller companies invest in R&D. Because if the way to the future is through investment in quality and technology, many smaller companies don't have access to the financial resources to be able to do that. So we requested the government to come up with some kind of scheme to help such companies. As far as FTAs are concerned, our stand is the same. I mean, as long as it helps India, so far in the FTAs, India has not benefited from the FTAs. So we have to tweak whatever we have to tweak to find it, because globalization is the way of the future. But we have to find the right balance such that India wins in the long run.
We are sitting at a venue which is witnessing one of the biggest events of auto component industry, which really reflects the sentiment of the industry. How do you perceive this auto expo versus previous auto expo? Do you see some revival of sentiment in the industry?
I think you should be telling me, because you have an outside view on the whole thing. But the feedback we've received so far is that people are fairly positive. The energy levels are higher, the quality of the display is higher, the quality of the products and the technology level on display is also higher. So there seems to be a bigger buzz, because I think people are looking at a recovery down the line. So I think there's more excitement today.
In the last 3 days, I have gone through all the stalls and halls. I have seen that there's a slight change. I may be wrong, that previously big players were more active. They had bigger stalls, but this time I see even small players like 200 crore, 300 crore players also having bigger stalls. What does it signify for you?
It signifies the ambition levels of the Indian entrepreneur, signifies the wish for Indian entrepreneurs to become global companies, and they're using such opportunities to showcase what they can do.
And we have also seen many big players have abstained from this. What does that mean?
I think each company has to find their own strategy. I can't
But
comment
it
on
is
individual.
increasing every year, number of big players from us.
Again, I think it depends on each company.
Even your past president's company might not participate this time.
Should ask him.
What kind of new job creation do you see in auto component industry in the coming days, and what kind of investments you look at?
Well, the projection as per the AP is basically the auto component industry will grow from 40 million to 200 million, requiring an investment of 70 to 80 billion dollars and a creation of 3 to 4 million new jobs.
How do you look at exports from India? We have seen that import from China has been increasing. So, how the Indian component industry is preparing to take on that challenge?
See, the Indian component industry exports about 11 billion dollars. This has been growing at a fairly fast clip in the last few years. If you look at the way it's evolved, we started out by exporting primarily to the aftermarket. Today, a bulk of our supplies goes to Tier 1 and Tier 2 OE companies, which gives you an idea how mature Indian exports have become. So we are quite bullish looking forward. The exchange rate will play to many companies' benefit. And as we invest in quality and technology, we will see that grow. Somebody also asked me a question, with the global slowdown, will that impact exports? But our share of the global component market is relatively small, and there's a lot of room for us to grow there. So I think as we look forward, we see a significant growth in the export market.
Among the BRIC nations, India is doing fairly better than many of them. So do you think this is an opportunity for Indian component manufacturer to go and explore outside? And which are those markets you think you can?
I think, see again, it's too big an industry to make a generic statement. I think some companies look at aftermarket, some companies look at India-like markets, and some companies are exporting to developed markets. I think today the world at large has recognized India as a source of competitive auto parts. We're trying to raise awareness. It's not just competitive, but also very good quality, good R&D capabilities, and as that exposure gets more and more, you will see more and more components sourced from India.
China is not doing so well when it comes to automotive industry right now. So do you think it is a challenge for India also, Indian manufacturer, because they will start focusing more on exports now, even more. They were already focusing that, but it will further become tough for us.
So China is the world's largest automotive market, and if there's excess capacity here, obviously they'll try to find ways to sell that capacity outside. So yeah, there may be some issues, and as long as it's free and fair competition, I think it should be okay. The problem only happens if there is unfair pricing, but I think there are rules and regulations in place to handle that.
While we conclude this interview, I have just to ask you one thing. 3 key points that you want from this government to do in this budget. 3 quick points.
I think first, level the playing field. That means to really make in India, we must give Indian companies the same terms and conditions as their global counterparts. Today we have an inverted duty structure that makes importing components cheaper than importing raw materials. So that's difficult for Indian companies to compete.
What are those?
So for example, if you import steel, the rate of duty is higher than if you import the finished components. So it doesn't encourage manufacturing. Negotiate the FTAs such that India benefits on an overall package. So whatever choices we have to make has to be made accordingly. 3, we must invest in developing technology amongst the small scale sector. It's only when the bedrock of the industry becomes strong, the whole industry will grow. So a technology upgradation fund to help the industry grow will be very useful. So and last but not least, everybody is already asking for GST and we are part of the same band.
Thank you so much.